Alrighty, what's up guys? Ryan with Aethix Fitness here, back again with the whiteboard. We're doing episode 2 of Vegan Fitness 101. If you haven't already watched, then what are you doing here? Go watch episode 1. I'm waiting, did you watch it?
I'm waiting, old man.
Okay, cool, now we can move on. Alright, so we're going to get into basic programming today, and that's something that I hold near and dear to my heart because as a young lifter back in the day, like 11 years ago, I followed terrible programming advice and basically got nowhere after my initial novice gains, which anyone can make, basically touching a weight. This is something that I think is utterly important to anyone trying to make most efficient progress quickly. Programming is something that I personally love and I think is the most important thing just above nutrition. Nutrition is very important too, but I'll explain why I think everything here is so important as we go through it. So just to get into it right away, some splits and full body workout programs that are very popular. They include push-pull legs 3 days per week, push-pull legs 6 days per week, upper-lower split, body part split, and full body program, which is not a split because it is not splitting up muscle groups into specific days. So push-pull legs 3 days is a program that I don't like very much, and I'll get into that later when we touch on frequency and such. Push-pull legs 6 days is a program that I do not think is necessary for beginners. We'll touch on that for frequency. Upper-lower is a good split. It's usually done 4 days per week, so 2 upper body days, 2 lower body days. Body part splits you see too often nowadays. So they were more popular before. I hope to get rid of those forever, and hopefully this series will help you realize how much I utterly hate body part splits, and I'll get into that when we touch on frequency again. And full body programs are probably what I recommend for novices. So if you're a novice watching this, I would highly recommend full body. A lot of these programs I recommend are full body based, and that basically just means that there's no restrictions to what you train on each individual training day. So you may not actually be training your full body necessarily, but there's no restrictions. We'll come back to that later, but that's just to touch on everything now. One of the most important things when setting up a program is going to be exercise selection. That's going to be which exercises you pick for your program to focus on. So most importantly, compound movements first. Definitely do compound movements first, okay? So compound movements are things like bench press, squat, deadlift, overhead press, chin-ups, dips, things like that. This is gonna get you 90% of your progress, maybe more you could argue. As a novice, you should be focusing like almost exclusively on compound lifts. If you bring your compound lifts up, you're going to get bigger and stronger, build more muscle no matter what, all over your body. If you're getting stronger at chin-ups, your biceps are going to grow. If you get stronger at squats, all your legs are going to grow. All your legs. Your legs are going to grow. Your whole back is going to grow. These are exercises that use way more muscles in your body. Isolation movements, on the other hand, are things like bicep curls, doing ab exercises, quad extensions. These do not evoke nearly as much muscle protein synthesis and limit your growth responses. So do not focus exclusively on isolation movements. As a natural lifter, your body grows as a full unit. So these movements, like compound movements that utilize the most muscles, they will cause the most muscle growth over time. Also, increasing strength on these movements will increase muscle overall. So the stronger you get, the more muscle you're going to build. Sometimes strength gains come first in novices, other times they may come in tandem. So no matter what, if you get stronger, you will build muscle though. Progressive overload is something that is absolutely crucial to everything here. So your program needs to involve progressive overload over time, which includes increasing weight on the bar, adding sets or reps over time. The easiest model for novices is just adding 5 to 10 pounds in your lifts per week. I wouldn't rush it. I would just do probably 5 pounds a week unless the weight is extremely light that you start with, which may happen in a program like Starting Strength. Always focus on progressive overload. Always try to add weight or reps or anything over time because that will be the catalyst to muscle growth. If a program that you're following does not involve weight increases or volume increases, then it's junk. Don't follow it. So moving on to volume and rep ranges, for a novice, I would recommend probably as low as 3 sets, maybe even 2 actually. Most important here is to focus on compound movements again. You don't have to bury yourself in volume. Volume, to explain it quickly, is basically sets and reps, what composes your workouts. Rep ranges also is an important topic here. For compound movements, 5 to 8 reps is probably recommended. You can go up to 10. I would probably stay between 5 to 8 reps for dips, squats, bench press, things like that. For your isolation movements, you can go up to 8 to 20 reps. But like I said, if you're a novice, I wouldn't focus on doing isolation movements unless they're after your compound movements and maybe you just want to get a little more volume in. That's okay. I'm not going to stop you there. I get it. Hey guys, this is Future Ryan here, and I was over here editing, and I realized that past Ryan left a really important point out, and that's how far away from failure you should be taking all your sets. So we're going to make this really quick and simple for now. Compound movements, I want you to keep those 2 to 3 reps away from failure for the most part, okay? Isolation movements, about 1 to 2 reps away from failure for the most part. Don't take anything to failure, at least often. By mistake, it might happen here and there, but don't take sets to failure for the most part, okay? So the reason why is because for compound movements, the closer you get to failure, the higher the chance of your form breaking down and the higher level of fatigue that will accumulate over time. So if you're taking a bunch of your squats to utter failure, where if there was a gun to your head, you literally cannot do another one, that's going to be extremely fatiguing to your central nervous system. There's a higher chance of injury at that point. A lot of you guys watching this right now are probably newer to barbell lifts, and if your form starts breaking down, really taking a set to failure, that's a higher chance of injury, and it's just not worth it. If you're taking a set to about 2 or 3 reps away from failure, you're going to get pretty much maximal muscle growth still at that point, and you're going to be much safer. You can focus more on form. Still increase your weight whenever you can, but keep that in mind in terms of how far away from failure you should be staying. For your isolation movements, you can take those a little closer, 1 to 2 reps away from failure, bicep curls and stuff. You're not going to get as fatigued taking those to failure. The chance of injury is much lower. So for the most part, just go by that as a rule of thumb. We'll get more into advanced points in the advanced programming section a few episodes down the line. But until then, go by that as a rule of thumb, and I'll turn it back to past Ryan for now. But if he makes any more of these mistakes, you guys let me know, and I'm going to have to have a little talk with him, So don't mess it up, man. All right, good luck. Back to you. Frequency is very, very important. I would say the reason I don't like these programs like push-pull legs 3 days and body part splits especially is because they're 1 times per week programs. 1 times per week frequency programs, I should say. So you're hitting for a body part split, you have a chest day, you have a shoulder day, you have a back day, you have a leg day. That is not going to cause the most muscle growth, and that's because muscle protein synthesis is elevated for 24 to 72 hours after a workout. So if you hit squats 1 day per week, you're going to be fully recovered by 72 hours afterwards. The rest of that week, you're not giving your legs a reason to grow. You're not maximizing your potential. Yes, you can make progress at the very beginning, but you'll make faster progress if you hit at least 2 times per week frequency on these movements. So a program like upper lower 4 days per week is good because you're hitting your upper body twice per week and your lower body twice per week, at least 2 days per week frequency. Full body is also good, which is probably going to be 3 days per week frequency for most lifts. That's actually great for novices. That's because novices recover a little quicker because the load on the bar is less. They can recover quicker from that than someone who's more advanced, really pushing the limits there. So rest periods, moving on. I can make it this simple. For compound movements, 3 to 5 minutes in between sets. And that's because you want to maximize your ability to move the most weight for the next set. If you're resting only 1 to 2 minutes in between compound movements, you're not going to be fully recovered by the time you go into that next set. You won't be able to move as much weight. So most importantly there is being able to move more weight than you could if you rested less. So that's very important there. For isolation movements, you could probably rest anywhere from 1.5 to 3 minutes, depending. But that's not a priority. So just getting volume in is probably enough for bicep exercises, whatever. You can go as low as 1.5 minutes there if you're in a hurry. I would say as a general rule of thumb though, resting about 3 minutes is probably great if you have the time. If you can rest 5 minutes for compounds, that's probably fine too. Just focus on increasing weight week to week, back to that progressive overload model again. That's the most important there. Don't rest more than like 7 to 10 minutes. That's just kind of wasting time. You'll be basically fully recovered by 5 minutes. So if you're experiencing plateaus in your training, that's basically a sign that there's a problem with your nutrition or you're approaching the intermediate level of lifting at that point. That's something we'll kind of touch on more in nutrition and advanced programming. But to put it simply, if you're plateauing as a novice, if you're just starting off and starting to hit plateaus, I would suggest doing one deload. So either take a light week or reduce the weights you're using by about 10 to 15% and reset. If you're approaching the weights that you were using before and you're still plateauing there, it's probably a sign you're becoming an intermediate lifter, which means you have to readjust your exercise selection, your general program model to keep making progress, because your recovery demands will be different. So we'll touch on that more in advanced programming, but just to give you a brief overview there. And most importantly, just keep it simple. If you're a novice lifter or just starting off or returning to lifting, the most important thing is following a good program. I would say full body or upper lower split, frequency at least twice per week for your lifts. Compound movements, focus on them as your bread and butter. Do them first before isolation movements. Focus on adding weight or volume over time, and keep these other things in mind also in terms of volume and rest periods, things like that. But just keep it simple. There's no need to overcomplicate things. These things I list here will get you 90% of your progress. Just to cover some recommended programs that I recommend really quick. First of all, shameless plug really quick, the Athix Fitness linear program. That's going to be 4 days a week. Great for novices or people new to compound movements like squat, bench, deadlift with a barbell. That's going to be a linear program model, so adding weight week to week, which is going to be very effective for novices. I would highly recommend that. It's free on my website at athixfitness.com. Starting Strength is also one I recommend. That's by Mark Rippetoe. He has a book called Practical Programming you can read if you're interested, but you can find spreadsheets online for free for that. That focuses around the same idea. GZCLLP, that's by Cody Lefevre. This is a program that's also very well liked by novices progressing. It's going to get you very fast progress. Gray Skull LP, the Johnny Candido LP, and Sons LP. These can all be found online for free. There's no need paying for these programs. They're basic. You don't need to really overcomplicate these things. The best programs are a lot of times free. And then also I listed Strong List 5x5. Not one of my favorites necessarily, because I think that 5 sets may be too much or I should say not necessary for novices. I would say 3 sets in Starting Strength is going to be more than enough as long as you're increasing weight over time. You can, this is just very popular, and if you want to do it, go for it. It'll get you great progress, but just not necessary in my opinion. So that pretty much covers everything for programming for now, at least the basics. We're going to touch on nutrition next, which is very important. And if you aren't already, please subscribe to me down below. I would really appreciate that, and to help grow the channel, to get more people involved in vegan fitness and educate them. And give me a comment if you have any questions or anything you want me to cover in the future. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.